Welcome back to the ticket setup series. In today's session, we're going to focus in on the end user request portal and how end users can create tickets, access the visual service catalog, see their open tickets and approvals in a web experience. So up to this point, we're primarily working in the Teams experience, and we're going to switch now over to these web experiences for the end user now. And in the subsequent sessions, we'll focus in on the agent side on the web experience. So if Adele wanted to access the end user request portal, she can navigate over to the following URL, web.tikit.ai/requests. Now, something I want to highlight here is that if you send your end users just web.tikit.ai, if they're not an agent or an admin, they'll be automatically redirected to /request. So you don't have to send them this full URL, because we're going to interpret their access level and send them to the appropriate location. Now, once they've loaded the end user portal, they're going to get a default experience. This is actually going to be a little bit different than the out-of-the-box experience because I'm using this environment as my setup series video environment. And I've started to build out the service catalog here. So what you will see if you have not built out your service catalog is this. Just a list of open tickets and open approvals. Now there's a whole service catalog section on how to add knowledge articles and templates as catalog items and surface these inside of these different service offerings like IT and request offerings. If you want to deep dive on that, I go recommend watching that section of the service catalog. But in this session, we're going to kind of focus in on some of the out-of-the-box experiences you'll get here. I'm also going to show you how to tune some of these out-of-the-box experiences so you can see the difference in the experience. So when we launch the end user portal, there's a couple of things that Adele can do that I want to make sure we highlight. The first is she can open up a ticket. So to open up a ticket, she'll click on Add Request, and she's going to be prompted for asking what her request is. Now, out of the box, this is conversationally driven, much like Ticket Virtual Agent when you ask a question. So if I were to say I need access to a Microsoft team, as an example, Ticket AI is going to interpret the request and then provide an appropriate response. In this example, I have an access request form that my end user is going to fill out to fulfill this request. You can change how that add request button works though. You can have it use the default new ticket experience. You can also hide it. I'll show you how to set those up in the admin settings after I get through a little bit more of this experience, but I wanted to highlight that as well. Now, out of the box as well, the service catalog, which you're seeing here, is turned on. But if you don't have any content in the catalog, it won't render, it won't show up in the end user portal. The idea is that the moment you start churning catalog items into request offerings, it becomes available in the service catalog. If you did have a service catalog and you did have different service offerings, which are these parent items, and request offerings, so templates or knowledge articles, they would visually show up here. And your end users can select one of them. So this is my Teams access request form. Here is my knowledge article. These are examples I use in the service catalog section of the setup series. And I can review those and see those and click on them to work against them. The other thing that I can do here is I can see all of my open tickets and all my open approvals. So approvals are pretty self-explanatory. I can approve or reject those things here. If I wanted to open up one of my open tickets, I could also do that here. Now, when I review a ticket or create a new ticket, I'm brought into the view experience of that ticket. So I'm provided a glimpse in terms of the ticket details, any activity that's happened here. I can add attachments. I can see the form that was submitted for a particular request. So this is the form that was submitted for this printer issue. Any approvals, this one doesn't have any approvals. If I want to send a note to the team that's working on this, I can do that here. So looking for an update. And when I send that, the team that's working on this and assigned to will receive that notification and they can work on it. And if they respond here, I will see that visual here inside of the end user portal. So again, the idea here is that it's a really clean, simple experience for your end users to create tickets, review the service catalog if you're using it, see their open tickets, see their open approvals. A couple other things on the top right-hand corner, you can control what columns you want to see. Maybe you don't want to see your approvals for whatever reason, or you don't want to see the catalog. You can clean that up if you like. You can pivot this to showing just the closed items versus the all active items. And if you want to search, you can also do that here. So if I search for printer as an example, this will bring back all my printer items. So I have a bunch of tickets that are printer issues, because that's kind of just what I'm demoing in the setup series. Just a quick search across all the experiences, catalog, tickets, and approvals. Now I mentioned that you can control some of the default experiences here. So I want to highlight how to do that now. So to control some of the default experiences here, I'm going to move over to web.tikit.ai as an admin. I'm logged in as Diego here as an admin. And I'm in the settings area, and I'm specifically inside of ticket configuration. And once here, there's a service catalog section. And you'll see here that there's a couple of options I have. So the first is I can turn off the service catalog. Again, if you don't have anything in the catalog, that won't show up on the end user portal, the request portal. But if you just want to turn it off, you have the ability to do that, not an issue. You can also change the default behavior of that add request button. So by default, we're using ticket deflection, which is that conversational experience. If I want to change that to just create a ticket, or if I want to hide it, I have the option. Why would I want to hide it? Well, we're actually seeing customers use this because they want to have their end users use the visual service catalog as a way to create tickets, not using the default add request new ticket form, or using the conversational deflection experience. For my example, I'll flip this over to create ticket so you can kind of just see what a couple of change of options here will do to that experience. I'll click save here. I'll now bounce back over to Adele's perspective. I'll refresh this. You'll see here that the service catalog has been removed because I've disabled it. And when I click on add request, that brings up the new ticket form here. No longer a conversation. This is where we're going to end this part of the setup video. I really hope you enjoyed the session. And if you do have any questions, please email team@cyrusen.com.